If Paul Revere had been around in the 1950s, he might not have been yelling, "The Redcoats are coming." He might have just been yelling, "The Reds are coming." But Paul wasn't around in the 1950s. So what did we do? Well, let's find out. Welcome everyone, Mark here. Back in the 1950s, everyone was sure that the Russians were going to attack us and probably drop bombs on us. How are we going to protect ourselves against an airstrike? Well, in 1952, the United States Air Force started Operation Skywatch. What was Operation Skywatch? Well, it was part of something called the Civil Ground Observation Corps. Regular citizens like you and I were going to scan the sky.
Jim, do you think
It could be, but we're not supposed to guess.
On August 16th, 1952, the United States Air Force commissioned this tower, the one behind me, the actual tower behind me, the very first of its kind, where normal citizens would scan the skies. And they would look out for, I suppose, airplanes, missiles, any indication that we were under attack.
Aircraft dropping bombs, dropping parachutes, either personnel or equipment. Aircraft in distress, on fire, or engines smoking. An aircraft incident, such as a crash. Unusual aircraft, such as blimps and helicopters, which cannot be reported under columns 2 and 3 of the record, and, of course, aircraft in combat.
And they would report directly to United States Air Force.
Aircraft flash, 1, multi-bomber, very low, no delay.
The tower in front of me, with my rental car behind it, was dubbed Delta Lima 3 Green, or DL3G. It's 30 feet tall, and it has a 12-foot square platform on top. At least back in the 1950s it did. There was also a 7-foot square hut or shed, a building where people who were scanning the skies could seek refuge from bad weather. During the early 50s, somewhere between 90 and 120 residents of Cairo and the surrounding area took turns, 2-hour shifts, watching the skies and keeping America safe. And this plaque tells us a little more about it. It says approximately 90 people alternated shifts to maintain 24-hour watch for enemy planes because there was no national radar system. We called on normal, everyday people from all walks of life to defend our country. And we haven't forgotten them because right in front of me is a statue honoring those people. So you can see a family, a man scanning the skies with a binocular in hand, his wife and child. Dedicated in 1976, it reads, "They also serve, those who stand and watch." The United States Air Force Observer. And here it indicates civil defense and Skywarn. Notice that looks like a tornado. Round about the end of the Korean War, they determined that towers of this type weren't necessary anymore. Maybe because radar became more widely used. And these towers began being used by weather watchers, people who would look out for things like tornadoes in the distance. So we're reminded of Skywarn, civil defense, and the United States Air Force Observers. And there they stand, proud and brave. And as you can see, the tower still stands as well. But there's no way to access it. But even if you could, I would imagine it would be really dangerous. And since the platform's gone, there's no place to stand up there. Well, I tell you, I wouldn't want to stand on those planks. But what an interesting piece of history, how they relied on just regular citizens. I suppose today it might be comparable to when they tell us to watch out in the airports for people who leave unattended luggage and suspicious activities. This was just a little more formal. Operation Skywatch.
Air defense is a big job. It requires radar equipment, fighter planes, anti-aircraft artillery, and other weapons. It also requires the vigilant services of thousands of ground observers. The ground observer system depends not only on the Fosters and the Joneses, but also on the teamwork of all observers reporting in with speed and accuracy, scanning the skies and reporting the movement of aircraft. Your job may be lonely and without public recognition, but a single report from an alert observer may mean the difference between life and death for 1 million people. Remember, the sky is your target for air defense.